I was born ready.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Greg.
We are GenX, and welcome to our podcast. We're the last generation.
I'm going to give a shout out to all of our subscribers out there, all of our viewers, anybody who spends their time listening to our homegrown, homemade content. We appreciate you. Thank you guys for tuning in and checking us out. A shout out to all of our audio only listeners over there. We have an entire world over on podbean.com. Our audio is everywhere you need our podcast to be. It's on every platform. So give us a listen on over there. A shout out to you audio only guys, you diehards, and a big shout out to our Monday crew. Those guys who tune in.
Hundreds of episodes.
Hundreds. Those guys who tune in each and every Monday to start their week with us. So shout out to the Monday crew and to, again, anybody who listens to our content. Like and subscribe, follow. What's the bell on YouTube? Hit the bell to be notified when we have new content.
Yes.
GenX is alive and well over on TikTok. So hit us up on all of our social medias. We have exclusive content over on TikTok. We do. I keep looking at Greg like we do.
It's very exclusive.
It's exclusive, meaning that YouTube wouldn't allow us to.
Yeah.
But TikTok does.
Means.
So, Greg, tell us something goodery. Oh, sorry. I ruined the bit. I did. It was Gregory. Tell us something goodery. See what I did there?
I got to go to summer camp this weekend. Did I already set that up? Did I say I was going?
No,
Not on the air?
I don't think so.
I went to summer camp like a teenage boy.
Really?
Yeah, men's church camp for the weekend
Okay.
up in Challenge, California, which is way up highway something or other above Sacramento, a couple hours. It's about a 3-hour drive.
I know where you are.
15.
I know right where you are.
Up Highway 70, I think maybe.
I know right where you are. Yes. My son lives up there.
It's good Woodleaf,
Right.
I think is the name of the camp, and it's a beautiful facility with great food and just a great experience. So,
Hey guys, if you noticed the gentleman sitting to, I guess that'd be my left or your right, sitting here with us, we'd like to give him an introduction. But before we even do that, you guys watch this.
Lincoln 31, Oakdale. For the past 10 years, Reserve Officer Rick Plath, badge number 269, has served the citizens of Oakdale with honor, integrity, and selfless dedication. He has consistently gone above and beyond the call of duty, willingly taking time away from his family and civilian career to don the uniform, assist patrol officer, work a beat, and transport prisoners to jail whenever needed. During his service, Officer Plath was nominated 3 times for Reserve Officer of the Year and was awarded 2 life-saving awards, one for resuscitating a drowning victim and another for rescuing an unconscious individual from a burning building. Officer Plath's commitment extended beyond emergency response. As the lead coordinator of the Santa Cop program with the Oakdale Police Officers Association, he brought holiday cheer and lasting memories to family across our city. His presence in the community has always been one of kindness, approachability, and compassion. Officer Plath's legacy will be remembered not only for his acts of bravery, but for his unwavering heart for service. Officer Plath, thank you for your sacrifice, your commitment, and the many lives you've touched. We wish you nothing but the best in your well-earned retirement. After a decade of outstanding service, Reserve Officer Rick Plath is now 10-7 out of service.
You have to give me a second on that one. Thank you to the brothers and sisters of this department. I have a privilege and an honor today to retire on my dad's birthday. Happy birthday in heaven, Dad. And thank you for your years of service and what you taught me and the officer you created me to be. And to all the ladies and gentlemen of this department who have also helped me become the officer I am, thank you for your friendship, for your inspirations, for your knowledge, and what you've helped me become. Dispatchers, you guys are my eyes and ears, and we thank you for everything that you've done for us and what you will continue to do for us in the future. I thank God for bringing me home every night and the rest of this department and all the other law enforcement that are working and bringing them home safely. It's not something easy to put this badge on and go outside and work this job and our family not worry. I guess they told me I was talking too much. And so I thank my beautiful wife as well for 10 years of sacrifices as well. And to the past city council members, friends, and current city council members, thank you for your support of the department and of every officer here. And last but not least, thank you to the citizens of Oakdale for the love that you've shown the department, not only to myself, but every other individual here, and that you have been great friends. A lot of friendships have grown from this, from me being an officer here, and I just thank everybody in the community for your support. And I think that'll wrap it. L31 and Savicop, B10-7.
Lincoln 31, yes, sir.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We have, I saw that video float around Facebook about mid-July, and it was 10 years reserve officer, 3 nominations for Reserve Officer of the Year, resuscitated a drowning victim, rescued another person from a burning building program. And you know what? You had me about 30 seconds in after the 2 rescues. I'm like, I want to reach out to this guy. I want to invite him onto the podcast. Hopefully he'll accept. And you know what? After a few negotiations, no, just kidding. After a few back and forths on Facebook Messenger, Rick, decided to join us, and he agreed to join us. And ladies and gentlemen, please join. Welcome, Rick. Rick,
thank
you
you,
doing, man.
I'm good.
My screen is frozen. I don't like that shit. So I watched this video, right? And after the 2 rescues, I'm like, I'm going to reach out to this guy. He decided to join us. Rick, thank you for agreeing and spending your time with us. I greatly appreciate it. Before we jump into this, Rick, my outline's a little different than yours, and I did that on purpose. We are a GenX platform, so we will need to test your GenXiness just a little bit. You just give us your honest answers, and we're going to absolutely evaluate how Gen X you really are. Okay. What year did you graduate high school to begin with?
Oh my gosh, 1987.
87. We are not too far apart, Rick. Excellent. Okay. Motley Crue or Poison?
Oh man, I would say Motley Crue.
Okay. Wham or Whitney Houston?
Oh, Whitney all the way.
Tell me your first bike, your first girlfriend, and your first car.
My first what?
Bike?
Like
Bike.
what do you,
Bicycle.
Bike. Oh, I know that one. Schwinn, a Schwinn Scrambler 3636, and it was red.
Okay. Your first girlfriend?
Oh man. Her name was Lisette. That goes back in the high school area. So yeah.
Okay.
I had crushes in high school, but that talking about girlfriend. So
no, like, will you go with me? The first would have been Facebook official or whatever, the go with me.
Yeah, right.
Right. Okay. Shout out Lisette. Okay. All right. And then what was your first car?
My first car was a Datsun MVP truck.
It was a truck, an MVP truck,
a mini
Datsun.
Truck. Was it a mini truck?
A Datsun.
It wasn't a mini
truck magazine.
Small, but it wasn't lowered or anything, but just a normal truck.
No. And I remember the little Datsun B210s.
Yeah.
Those little guys.
I
think they were all yellow, right? Weren't they all yellow?
No, it was blue with silver stripe down the side.
Okay.
So I think.
Rambo or Red Dawn?
Oh man, Rambo.
Okay. All right.
Who's
a better father?
But I like Rambo. So.
Fair. Okay. Fair. Who's a better father? Al Bundy from Married with Children or Jason Seaver from Growing Pains?
Oh, of course. From Growing Pains. But Al Bundy was funnier. Okay, I'll give you that. But
Okay. There's no wrong answer. All right. Just a few left. Goonies or Stand By Me?
That's a tough one. Wow. Okay, I'll do Stand By Me.
Okay, fair. Tears for Fears or Bon Jovi?
Bon Jovi.
Breakfast Club or Weird Science?
Breakfast Club.
Okay. Favorite Tom Hanks movie and why is it big?
Well, that was a good movie. No, I think Big is a really good movie. So actually, that I would probably choose that one. I mean, he's got a lot of good movies.
Was Batman a real superhero?
In my day, when I was a kid, yeah.
Okay.
But no, not reality, no. Okay, but
well, they're not real. I mean,
right.
Okay. Batman, a real superhero? Okay, sure. Purple Rain or Don't Stop Believing?
Don't Stop Believing.
You had to pick one or the other, too. Okay.
Now, if you just threw Michael Jackson in there, I would have picked Michael Jackson, but you didn't. So
okay.
Now we're fair. Yeah. Can you see the comment?
I do see the comment. You don't have to call me Mr. Plath. That makes me even feel older.
Here's the question. While we're trying to figure out our technical difficulties, can you tell us about your most memorable call?
I have really a lot of memorable calls. So I think one that really stands out, like I said, there's many. One was a traffic stop I did, excuse me, and I was sitting there parked on the side of a street, and I'm watching one of our main streets in town, and this guy's just flying. So I'm getting behind him, and I mean he's speeding for sure, and so I pull him over, and I will tell you already, he's got tinted windows, so I can't see in the car. So just keep this in mind. So I make the traffic stop, and there is two individuals in the car. One is an Hispanic male and is probably 20s. Same thing. There was a passenger was a black gentleman in his 20s probably as well. And so I told him, I said, hey, the reason I pulled you over, and right when I said that, he says, because I'm Mexican. We're people of color. And both these guys start talking. And I'm like, no. I says, you guys have tinted windows. I can't tell what race you are. You were speeding, and that's why I pulled you over. And the windows were tinted, like I said. And so we have this conversation, and they're just, I mean, they're rude. I mean, they're like antagonizing, like they want to create an argument. And I says, just driver's license, registration, proof for insurance, you know. And so the passenger or the driver gives it to me, and I asked the passenger, I said, do you mind if I have your ID as well? And he says, why? I said, hey, I'm just asking if you'll share your ID. I mean, you know, if this guy has a suspended license or if he can't drive, I can make sure you're a legal driver and you can possibly drive the car. So he gives me the driver's license. And so one of them comes back with that they are on probation and they're searchable. Well, now we basically have the ability to search that car. I call another unit over there and we search the car because that's what we're able to do. And that's why they're on probation. So we search the car, no contraband. So no big deal. I could have gave them a ticket, but I sat them down. They were both out of the car. So they were sitting on the sidewalk. And I asked them, I said, so let me ask you guys, why did you make that comment when I first approached the window that I basically pulled you over because of your race? Well, we've seen enough TV shows and seen this. And I just kind of did a sigh, and I'm like, okay, guys, have you dealt with law enforcement before? Well, yeah, and some of them have been rude or and I'm not going to defend, you know, officers. There is some officers that may not, or I should say, should not be in law enforcement. I mean, that's true. There should be, I could say that about every job. There's not like every doctor may not need to be a doctor, right? Or every lawyer should not be. We could do that from every different job out there. Okay. There's bad apples in every job. And so I told him, I says, well, so you may have had an experience with another officer who may not have been polite or whatever the reason is. I wasn't there. I can't judge their story. They're just telling me what they said. So I said, have you ever dealt with me? Have you ever dealt with our department? He said, no. I said, then why would you assume that we are all like what you dealt with in the past? And he says, and literally, I think he scratched his head and he looked at his buddy and he's like, well, we really can't. I said, have I mistreated you? He said, no. I said, have I been disrespectful to you? No. Did I do what you see on TV shows and slam you up against the car and do all that? He goes, no. I said, that is because that's not reality. That is TV. And what you see on the internet, what you see on the news, where somebody gives you a glimpse of a picture or a video that happens, doesn't mean it's the whole thing. There is a lot more to what you don't see on a recording that the news shows. And he really looked at me afterwards and I said, I'm not going to give you a ticket. This is just a warning. And I said, I hope you understand that just because you see somebody that is a bad officer or made a bad call, again, I can't go down and explain every situation that's out there on the internet, but that doesn't mean we're all bad. Don't judge one bad apple don't judge the whole tree because of one bad apple. Both those boys stood up, shook my hand, and goes, "This is the best thing." Or what do you say? Something about this. This is one of the best experiences that we've had with a law enforcement officer. So I was just like, hey, this is just education. So when you can actually have those real conversations with people and not be judged based on what you see on the internet, can you imagine? Let's look at society. Let's look at politics. Let's look at everything else. Can you imagine how much better people can get along? So if I can make a little change in somebody's life to that effect, I did my job for the day. And that's what I like, is bridging those gaps between law enforcement and citizens. So it was a great call. That's one that sticks out all the time. I remember that pretty well on those. So I mean, there's tons more, but that's one of my favorite stories to tell, because it's real. And, a lot of people just believe what they see on the internet or on Facebook or on social media. And it's not, you need to see the whole thing. How many times I've seen videos where I'm like, "Ooh, that looked bad," and then we actually see the whole video and we're like, "Oh man, that the news media makes other things that they basically want to control what you're seeing." Sorry, can I say that on this show? But I will if I can. So anyway, that was one of the memorable stories that I have for one of favorite stops, more or less. Richard, I see your comment on the community capacity building at its finest. Well, very true. You make a difference. That's the goal, is making a difference. My father's retired PD.
I have a green screen.
It's hard to be a police officer in this climate. Oh, well.
Yeah, the media doesn't make it easy.
No, that's very true. And now MPD, there could be a couple different ones in the local area, but it's hard to become an officer, is what Richard's saying, in this climate. And you're right. And unfortunately, and I'm speaking my opinion. I'm not speaking, by the way, anything that I'm saying is my opinion, not the opinion of any past department that I work for. So I just want to clear the air on that. So what you're Modesto. Okay. So let's be real. Police officers don't make a lot of money. We don't. And so some agencies pay more. Some agencies, pay not that much. I know back east, one of my friends who is an officer, or actually a sergeant back in Oklahoma, I think he was telling me when he first started there, he was making like $20 an hour. I think, I can't remember the exact numbers, but
qualify for food stamps.
Yeah, right. $20 an hour for him to put his life on the line. And I'll say it, sports people, hey, God bless them. They're talented, but when you get millions and millions of dollars to play 16, 17, whatever, 18 games. Right. And we're out there, we could die because of a traffic stop, and we're going to get paid as what we get paid. Something's got to change with that, because this is another problem why a lot of people don't want to go into law enforcement or firefighting, is because we don't get paid enough. We can die. I mean, you've seen the news. I mean, there's people that are wanting to kill cops just because of something they see on TV. And they're ambushing us in the car. Right. It's happened. It's all over the news in the past. Yeah. So anyway, that's probably another whole story. So yes, it's very difficult. And the other thing, in my opinion, is that some agencies out there, from what I've heard, is they want you to have all the schooling in the world. Well, okay, so you have a schooling, you might make a few dollars more, and they might pick you. I'm not telling you that is true, just right. What I've heard. People have said, oh, well, they pick the college person over the non-college. Well, that person might be book smart, but book smart is not what gets you in law enforcement, in my personal opinion. Sure. You got to have street smart, common sense. That's what makes a good officer. It's not so I can tell you what 459 of the California Penal Code is burglary. Okay. But if I can't be trusted with a partner, or I'm scared, or I don't have the common sense or whatever to back up a department, fellow officer, what good is me knowing 459? Really?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's sad that some agencies I've heard will choose college over common sense. I know that wasn't a question on it, but that's
No,
my thing.
No, that's what it's like. Hiring practices, probably, though, right? They probably have very strict procedures that they have to go through and criteria that they have to judge by, and whoever gets the highest score gets in.
Right.
Right. No,
And
that's
if you got that extra bonus points for having a college class, then you're in.
No, that's it. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
You witnessed a building fire as a kid, as riding along with your dad. Share more about that moment and how that moment shaped your decision to go into law enforcement. What is that story?
Wow. So I remember back, I think I was probably 12. I don't remember the exact age, but I know at some point I ticked off my mom, and she goes, "You wait till your father wakes up. You're going to be going to work with him." Well, he worked graveyard. Who the hell wants to go? Sorry, can I say that? Who the heck wants to go work graveyard, with a cop? I mean, that just sounds boring. I mean, I didn't know.
Sounds like
I heard stories. Okay. Growing up, of course. But so, yeah, when he got up, I had to go to work, and it was boring. I mean, really boring. And so I can't remember the exact time. It was probably like, 8 or 9. I think graveyard was. This is back years ago. And so I remember it was dark.
Back in the 1900s, Rick. Was it back in the 1900s? Was it?
For sure. And so we're driving around, and he's a sergeant. And so he doesn't really go handle a bunch of calls. They're more the supervisory position, where they handle calls. They'll take calls and they'll do all that. But that's what the officers are doing. And then, the sergeant stays around for supervisory duties. So it's boring. I fall asleep. I mean, I don't remember what time it was, but I'm falling asleep. Of course, during the first couple hours, I was getting lectured. Okay, you shouldn't be doing. I don't remember what I did, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't tell you. But so point is that it was probably later in the evening. I don't remember the times, but I'm knocked out. I'm falling asleep. And so all I know is he gives a little jerk of the steering wheel, and I'm assuming that because I hit my head on the door, not hard, but enough to wake me up. And I look at him like, what? I was, sleeping kind of thing, and he goes, "Look." I looked to my right, and it was an abandoned, from I remember, a building that was on fire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the, literally, it was a 3-alarm fire. And so I'm like, holy crap. So we park, we get out, he starts putting out flares. We're blocking off streets and closing down the area. And he starts showing me how to light flares. I'm like, okay, I'm more intrigued by, holy crap, what's going on over here?
Make more fire.
Huh?
Make more fire.
Right, making more fire here, So anyway, so that kind of started that. And then after that, the lecture was over. Now we're going to do some fun stuff. So we started going to different calls, and I was just watching. I'm like, this is cool. I think a couple of times, he flipped on the lights, and I'm like, we can drive fast. That's kind of cool, so it was just a great experience after that. So after, I was literally going 2-3 times a week on ride-alongs. It might have been for 4 or 5 hours, and sometimes he would get stuck on a supervisory call, and he would tell another officer, "Hey, can you take my kid with you?" And so I rode with many different officers and learned a lot of different things of how they do things. And I think I was riding out when I was still 17, 18 years old with multiple officers. So
right.
It was great. It was a great experience. And that's really what groomed me, that I wanted to follow Dad. I wanted to, help people, because I saw a lot of that. And that's what got me into law enforcement.
Where was that at?
That was in Stockton. He worked for Stockton PD.
Oh, yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's exciting.
After midnight.
Oh, yeah.
Let it all hang out.
The freaks come out. Can I say that? So I probably shouldn't have said that, but anyway, we'll roll with that.
Yeah, that's a song by Houdini.
Yeah, that's a song.
Like 1986 or something like that, 85 or something. The freaks come out at night. Completely guessing. Okay, so Dad, right? Obviously, big influence. He was the sergeant. You said.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and you got to hang out with all the other cops, all the people that worked for him, right? So that's kind of neat. A bunch of rides on that. What lessons did Dad pass down that that guided you, or at least built your foundation that you maybe still adhere to, or what's some of that fatherly stuff you got?
Besides being, a dad, you had dad at home, and then you got to see dad as a supervisor, how he treated people. One of the biggest things I remember him always saying is respect the public and treat them like human, because they are.
Right.
We're not any different. We're not better than them. Back then you didn't have, black lives, blue lives, green lives, whatever lives matter. Everybody mattered, but you didn't talk about that. You just knew that, right?
Right.
And so, and learning the same thing of how fair, when you mess up, I mean, let's face it, we're all human. No matter what job you have, everybody's been talked to for some reason in their employment, wherever they work, whether you work at Taco Bell or whether you work for an attorney or whether you work for some other agency or whatever, you have something you learn and you get taught something different to handle something. Right? It's doing it with fairness and, being respectful. When you mess up, you sometimes get a verbal. I remember I've sat in some of these where, somebody would have been verbally reprimanded. So you're dealing with not only the public, but you're dealing with your superiors or your fellow employees with respect and kindness. And that's really what has to happen. And sometimes people forget about that. And then also learning how to do things like report writing. Oof. A lot of times report writing, having to explain things and do things. And I mean, he would sometimes get his red pen out. And I mean, I'd do a report, like I'd be on a ride along with the officers and I would do my version of the report and turn it in.
Right on.
And he'd be like, you misspelled that. I still suck at spelling. If it wasn't for, spell check, I'd be in trouble.
Right.
My wife always criticizes my post. Hey, you misspelled this. Whatever. People know I suck at spelling. So, but, he'll get the red pen out, and he would teach me about that and how to form a report. So when I was in the academy, actually report writing was fairly easy, for me. So, but just a lot of the good morals, as far as a dad, just to be respectful and nice to people when you have to put the verbal judo on and you have to, take somebody to custody. It's a whole different story, but treat them with respect. That's really
I have been yelled at as an adult by a cop. I was chasing you for 4 miles. Yeah. Motorcycle cop chasing me on my motorcycle. You get the verbal lashing.
So what cities have you served in? We know, Oakdale, and you've mentioned Stockton. Were there other cities you've served in? Like out of the academy, what happened for you?
Well, so after I actually graduated the academy in 1990 and got married, had kids, actually moved out of state for a couple years.
Okay.
And long story short, we moved back. And so I decided I'm going to go back and, do law enforcement. Well, at the time I restarted my pool business, which I've had for, almost 40 years. And it really took off. And I had actually went through a recall course to go back into police work. And so my business took off and I thought to myself, my kids are still fairly young. Why do I want to sacrifice the income and go work full time, miss holidays, miss birthdays, miss weekends, whatever, miss family time, raising my kids? So I decided not to pursue it. But there was this little, void in my life that I'm like, I miss it. I wanted to do it because at that point my dad had retired. I still went on a couple ride-alongs, but not as much. And so, then, life happened.
You were Rick the Pool Man?
I was Rick the Pool Man. Yes, absolutely. Actually, sometimes people, I'm not. Anyway, Rick the Pool Man. That's exactly what I was. And that's what I say. When I call a customer, I said, hey, it's Rick the Pool Man. How you doing? So yes, that is very true. So back in 2010, life things happen, went through a divorce, and I decided, you know what? My kids are old enough. Time for me to do what I want to do.
Right.
And so my kids were out of the house pretty much. And I decided I'm going to go back to the recall course again. So I did. And I got hired with San Joaquin County, deputy or sheriff's department. And so I worked in Manteca in the sheriff's realm. They covered that. And also worked different areas of San Joaquin County, including Stockton. And so after that, then I went to Oakdale.
When you worked for the sheriffs, is that part of like the crew that like supports the county jail and the courthouses? And is that the same? Are those deputy sheriffs that do that?
Yes. I just work patrol. I work patrols. So
work patrol. Okay.
I didn't do any of the court stuff or, working in the jail at all.
Is that the end of the career, the court stuff? Is that where you end up? Is that like where you, is that
I see
home
young
stretch?
guys doing that.
Do you?
Court,
I've always, all the times
seen
I've been to court, it's always been old people.
So sometimes, yes, sometimes actually, I can't speak for every agency, but I do know that people that have retired, they go back and they work per diem as deputy or bailiffs. Yeah.
Yeah, bailiff.
Okay.
Or like a young guy, maybe he just had knee surgery or something. So they put him on some light duty.
Light duty. Sure. Or you never mind. I'm
jump off.
Yeah, I've seen some gnarly stuff go down in courtrooms. You don't want to be too light duty in there.
No, for sure.
Out of all the places you've served, what was your favorite? Where was your favorite, man?
I liked San Joaquin County as far as the different areas because you got to meet a lot of different people. I mean, you're one big county. That was great, but that's all I knew besides Stockton. Riding along with my dad. I loved Oakdale. Oakdale was my favorite. Of course, I was there for 10 years. It was a second home. I know lots of people there, and I've made a lot of relationships and friendships there, which I'll treasure for the rest of my life. I still keep in contact with some people, and so that was the best time of my law enforcement career, in my opinion.
That's pretty cool. Right on. The roughest part, I'm going to guess, was probably the streets of Stockton, south of the crosstown after midnight. Am I close?
No, you're close. Let's face it, though. Seriously, in all towns, you got some rough spots where you probably shouldn't go walking down there after dark.
Correct.
Which is sad if you think about it. But, as a law enforcement officer, I carry a gun. So even off duty, but yeah, there's some rough areas. And when you start talking about gangs and violence and a lot of things, but it can happen anywhere. So I don't want you to.
I grew up in Manteca. I had family that lived in Stockton. They lived like on, I think it was 8th Street and the Turnpike, right there on Highway 5 and 8th Street, kind of dead ends onto the frontage road, right? Right there along the frontage. We were on the other side of what was then called Conway Homes.
Right.
Yeah. South Stockton, it gets pretty rough. What were the roughest parts of town, or what were some? I know Richard had asked, what were some calls you went on before, but what was like some of the roughest calls, the scariest? Did you guys cover that one?
Oh yeah, I worked all over Stockton when I worked at the sheriff's department. And like I said, in any town, but if are you referring to some of the roughest calls that I've seen, whether it was San Joaquin County or whether it was Oakdale?
Yeah, like tough in the sense of like, fear for your life, violence, or coming up on like maybe an active shooter scene or something like tough in that sense, like danger, like high danger. So,
there's lots. The ones the really bad ones for me, when I see child molestations, that's bad. Rape victims, murders. All of those are tough because you're dealing with crimes, but you're dealing with emotions of family members. And there's many times, we have to hold it together. Right. As law enforcement officers, we've got to take care of business, but we have a heart. We're human. We bleed, we hurt, we feel for people that have gone through that. And sometimes it may not look that way because we have a job to do. We've got to, take care of things. But how many times I can tell you, and I speak for myself and probably thousands of other officers, that when you get a chance, you go in your car and you're crying. You're in tears at what you've seen, what the horrific thing. You think you guys see movies that, show, cars, flipping over and chases and you don't really, when you see it in real life and it's real life, that leaves a memory in your head that you can't forget.
Right.
You can't forget, and you deal with it, But, most people go home from their work and they, go spend time with their spouse and everything. And most law enforcement, we try to do the same thing. But there's officers that sometimes they can't take that switch, and it's hard for them. And I learned from my dad, I didn't see him take anything home. He didn't go out there and get drunk. He didn't go out there and, have an affair. He didn't go out there and I'm not saying that is what other officers are doing. What I'm saying is there's a lot of things that people do to
vent,
self-care, and healthy or unhealthy coping skills, right?
And so, but dealing with those types of crimes or situations, it's terrible. When you go to an accident and, DUI or not. I mean, I'll tell you a quick story that, and I'll never forget this either. When I first did ride-alongs with my dad, he took me down, he showed me the jail. This wasn't the first night, but it was several times afterwards. And Stockton PD had 4 holding cells that I recall, one main one, and then they put, overflows in 3 different cells. And I remember going down the hallway and there was 3 cells, and there was somebody in each one. Well, of course, my dad knew the one guy. I mean, he was a regular. Some towns we have regulars. We see them all the time. We deal with them. And so he knew this guy wasn't bad news, and the door was open. And so he moved the other guy to another cell. And so there was an empty cell in the middle. And so I walk in, and he goes, yeah, this is where we put people. And I'm in the cell, and I'm like, that would suck. I would not want to be in here. And he shuts the door. I'm in there by myself. And on both sides of the cell, there are 2 people in the cell. And he leaves. I'm like, what the? I was scared, And these guys start talking to you, and, it freaked me out. And so I knew this was nowhere I ever wanted to be,
Hey, man, you got a cigarette?
Yeah, right. Your little boy. So, another one I'll tell you is I remember going to a DUI crash, and the driver survived from what I remember, but the victim passed away. And we go to the site, and, again, he was a sergeant. I see the car. Oh my gosh. And I'm a kid, I think I was probably 16, 17 because I was driving at that time. And so lesson learned, what I'm trying to say is, so he shows me this scene, and it was pretty horrific. And we get to the county hospital, and, he's telling me he's got to check on a few things, and he puts me in the room. He says, wait here. And so I'm waiting in the room by myself, and it's kind of dark in the room. And so I'm just sitting there, and I really didn't pay attention. But he comes back in and he goes, okay, come here. And he walks me to the back of the room. And at the time, now I know it was a gurney with a sheet over a body.
Oof.
And he lifts the sheet up, and he goes, this is what happens when somebody does a DUI, and this innocent person just died because of it. And I had to see that. I got to see that, or however you want to word that. But
sure,
that was something that you don't want to do to somebody else. You don't want somebody else to have to live with that, or you don't want to have to die because you drove under the influence. So lessons learned. Okay, I know that went off on a tangent, but made me think about that. So going back to the question, those are some terrible calls when you see people that have to deal with death, or somebody comes home and somebody passes away. They couldn't get a hold of their mom or dad, and they go to their house. And how many times I've cried with people and prayed with people with that, because that's what we do. That's what we do. But those are tough. Those are tough.
So it's not just the gore. It's, the emotional stuff. Like you said, you're a human, you're a father, you're a brother, you're all these things, right? Have you been a part of the E15 program in either Oakdale? Are you familiar with the E15 program?
Well, you're going to have to tell me what you're talking about so I can understand what you're asking.
So the E15 program is a program that high schools put on for the senior class, basically. And E15 stands for every 15 minutes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. So every 15 minutes, right? I've been a part of several of those, and watching the car wreck the first day is fine. There's, some schools really, spend the money, right? And, do the blood and gore, and they have the screaming girl and the cops come in, they do all the things. And, we watch it firsthand, right? I worked for a DJ company forever, and we did all the sound support for this event. So the first day we had mics on everybody. Anyways, that's why I'm out there. The second day is the funeral, as you're aware of, right? And it's a mock funeral. But all the kids that got killed in that car accident, the drunk driver that got arrested, and all the kids that got pulled out of class, every 15 minutes, death would come to their class and pull somebody out, right? And then they'd be, sequestered, or they'd just go home. They'd be kept away. So anyways, during the funeral, right, these things are happening, and the family are coming in and giving eulogies, right? And I'm watching this, and I know it's fake, and I know that these aren't real, right? But there was one of these speeches that just stands out, and it was the older sister, and her little brother, got killed in a car wreck, right? Well, she comes and, she's reading her speech. Hey, little brother, you little brat, blah, 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 this. I'll never get to do this, blah, blah, blah. But towards the end, and this is where I had to pull out my phone and check email real quick, because, I was like, oh, fucking crying in front of everybody, right? It was, and she goes, your alarm went off this morning, and it was 10 minutes before I realized you weren't going to get up and turn it off. Yeah, hold on, boss. Yeah, we're busy right now. You know what I mean? But the impact of seeing, death up close. We're watching death up close right now in real life in current times. But watching it even in a fake situation, that's what actually brought it all up. Was your dad showing you that dead body. So a lot of motivation there or whatever. So, and the E15 program's kind of doing the same thing, is reenacting death. But in those ones, you get your person back. You know what I mean? They come home, right? The drunk driver's not really arrested for the rest of his life, or you know what I mean? He's not in jail he doesn't have that, manslaughter and all that, or whatever. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, I do. I remember those and being a part of quite a few. And they're emotional, even though in your mind, this is just to educate. But what people come up with as far as what they say, I mean, I was like you. I'll say it. I don't have a problem. I've cried many times on watching those every 15 minutes,
right? Because
it's sad, and I know it is, crazy. But it's a good program. It is really good program.
Oh, I love it. It's really, I mean, some schools do it every year. Some schools do it every 2 years. You know what I mean? But, or whatever, however that works out for them. But I've been a part of a lot of them, and they're always fun. They're always fun to be a part of, and they're just neat, it's little events and stuff.
Yeah.
Rick.
Yes.
How in the world do you handle those difficult drivers we see on social media? I'm not picking on anybody for their beliefs, and I'm not picking on anybody for the way they choose to do them. However, how do you deal with those people, those difficult drivers that we're always seeing on social media? Someone that just,
the guy that won't roll his window down all the way,
or just all the things, right? All the things. Now, I mean, I'm not trying to, get into anything.
The sovereign citizen guys.
I just, what I mean? I can talk. I can hear you just fine. You're like, how do you deal with it? Because I boil watching something that's just on a video. I'm not even there, and it's not even me, right? But inside, I'm like, I gotta watch this.
Yeah, I'm traveling, not driving guy.
I've had a few, and where they do the recording. I'm like, you can record whatever you want to do. I don't really care if you record me. I could care less. I'm recording too. I usually have a camera as well, so I'm not even worried about it. Which, by the way, I sent you guys a message on there on your screen. So one of the things that I remember a call where a guy pulled him over. And he decided he didn't want to go with the program as far as rolling his window down halfway. And he goes, yeah, what can I do for you? And long story short, gave me his driver's license. And so I wrote him a ticket because of the violation. And I went to go have him back and sign the ticket, and told him, it's not admitting any guilt. You're just promising to appear, yada, yada, yada. And he decides, I'm not signing that. I'm like, why don't you want to sign it? Because I'm not gonna. I said, if you don't sign it, then we've got to go the next route. And I don't want to do that. And I try to be very nice and calm. And I'll even joke around with people. Look, I don't want to take you to jail. I don't want to do all that. And he goes, I'm not effing signing it. And I'm like, okay. So of course, then I call the supervisor over, and I talk with her and tell her everything that's going on. And we're like, okay, so sir, two things we can do. We're going to have you sign the ticket, or we're going to take you to jail. I'm still not signing it. Okay, here we go. Okay, wait a minute, wait. Okay. And then because they don't want to get yanked out of the car. And Rich, realistically, for those of you that don't think we can do it, yes, we can. If you are not going to go with the program and we are going to take you to jail, we're going to take you to jail. It's simple. Just go with the program. Sign the ticket. You're not admitting any guilt. Okay, life lesson. So he signs the ticket.
Sign the fucking ticket.
What he does, he writes an X on there. I don't care. It's on camera. I really don't care how he signed your name. You signed it. Here's a copy of your ticket. See you later. And he goes off and he goes on his merry way. I didn't end up going to court, so he must have paid the bail or paid the ticket or went to traffic school. But seriously, why? I think to myself afterwards, why are you going down this road? You know? And so, yes, there are difficult drivers out there. We need to be nice, until we don't have to be. I mean, when I mean that in a bad way, what I'm saying is, you sign the ticket or we're going to take you to jail.
There's a path.
It's two options.
And there's a path, right? We're going down this one or we're going down that one.
That is. And you choose the path you want to go. You want to go to jail, or you want to sign the ticket and go to court. And it's not that and we get being called jackasses or we're terrible cops because we're doing our job. No, you shouldn't have broke the law. And we have grace. We can give a ticket. We cannot give a ticket. So we gave grace. I gave the guy grace. The first time he said, no, I'm not signing it, we could have took him right there. But we gave grace and grace and grace and grace, probably like 4 or 5 times, until finally he signed the ticket, which is great because we don't want to fight anybody.
Right.
We don't want to have to
I'm trying to fight somebody right now. I'm off in 2 hours.
I just had my uniform cleaned. I don't want to get all dirty. No, I'm kidding. But
these hands.
we don't want to have to fight anybody. We'd rather just go. Look, we're there to do a job. Let us do our job. Simple.
So I'm a huge fan of our military. I'm a huge fan of law enforcement, first responders, all of the heroes. I really am. But Rick, I kind of am curious about explain to me like why you can still take me to jail if I don't sign. What's the turning point? What's being broken? Like what's happening in that moment?
It's basically because of the California, law. I mean, sure, there's laws every state that we have to do, and there might be different policies and procedures that our department does. Sure. But if you have a choice, when you got your driver's license, you agreed to follow the rules of the law. I mean, of the vehicle code and law. And I can tell you, the California vehicle code book is probably this thick, or maybe that thick. I don't know. It's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that you can get stopped for, get a ticket for. So the law is, if you don't sign the ticket, you have the right to go before a magistrate, before a judge. So sign the ticket, or we'll take you to jail and go before a judge. Now, if it's 7 o'clock at night,
because you're going in front of a judge.
That's
you
right.
either promise that you'll go on your own, or I'm going to hold you until you do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's like being released on OR.
Got it.
If it's 7 o'clock Friday night, you're not going to see a judge till Monday morning.
Yeah, on a 3-day weekend.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, right, exactly 3 days.
Tuesday morning,
and then you still go get shipped back to jail and released from there. So
yeah, because now they made you sign it in order to leave. So
and that's just a promise to appear, right?
Exactly. So you wasted time. You wasted police time. You wasted taxpayers' money. So yeah, I'll say that. So it's just crazy. Just sign the ticket and go. You broke the law. If you want to fight it, go fight it. It's easy.
Fight it. Leave me alone. Let me go back to my job.
If you don't think you ran the red light or the stop sign, go fight it. I mean,
tell it to the judge.
Yeah.
Tell it to. There you go. Tell it to the judge.
Have you? Oh, Richard, how you doing out there, buddy? Can you tell us about a time where a defense attorney gave you a hard time in court?
Yes, I can. So, I've testified probably a couple times, not often, surprisingly, but it was a DUI case where I made a traffic stop. And so the subject was by himself. And so we were being nice. We didn't tow the car. And so we had the girlfriend come pick up the car. And so this is all on video. And so in court, he said, he asked me to ID the driver. And I said, yeah, the gentleman's sitting right there. And he said, he wasn't the driver. A female was the driver. I'm like, huh? What you talking about, Willis? What
you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about? I said, no, that's not the case. And the defendant or public defender or the defense attorney was just trying to make me look stupid. Like I stopped the wrong person. I'm like, look, seriously, we have 2 other officers involved in this, and this was the driver, and she's lying. And I basically said, she's lying, he's lying. I don't know why you're up here wasting time. I just told told him like it was. I said, you're wasting time here because you know as well as I do he was a driver. You're just trying to make me look stupid. I don't play those games. I just look, dude, it's there. It's on video. Watch the video and let's get this all done with, because you're trying to delay things. You drug me to court. Basically, I didn't say that part, but you got me into court here and I'm testifying and your client was a driver. Why are we going down this road? And so afterwards, I guess they watch the thing and they go, okay, we'll take the plea. Of course you will, you dumb it. Sorry, I'm like, why are we here? Right? And unfortunately, this is a common thing. And it's to try to find a loophole to get the criminal off.
Right.
The guy was the only person in the car. Why are we here?
He was the only one in the car.
You were DUI. I don't remember what he blew, but
there's that meme that floats around of that guy that just like superimposed on everything. Say, hey, what are you doing here? And he's like, me? Oh. It's like, you were the only one in the fucking car. Me? Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
Your Honor, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Right. And when you see me with the camera, as I walk up to approach the car, hey, I pulled you over here because you're swerving over here and you ran that stop sign, it's all video. And like, anyway, it's crazy what they do.
These aren't my pants, sir. On behalf of law enforcement as a whole, you're going to speak for them now. What do you want the public to know?
Well, for starters, if you live in a town where they allow you to do a ride along, I would tell you do a ride along, because until you do, you have no clue what we deal with, how we're spoke to, what we go through when we see certain things. Unless you can put that belt on, and I see it all the time. You got Monday morning quarterbacks on something that happened 3 days ago, where people are commenting about a situation involving law enforcement. I can tell you right now, maybe some of that's true, maybe it's not. But for somebody to judge something partially what they saw, like I mentioned earlier, you have no clue. You have no clue what the other portion of the video is. You have no clue of a lot of things. And so to judge somebody, to judge us, to judge law enforcement, to judge anybody for that matter, based on something you heard or what you saw somebody else do or another officer do, what kind of people are we?
Right.
That'd be like me telling you because I saw you do something that I'm going to judge every other person who does a podcast. Well, they're freaking liars or they're this. That's not fair. So we're human. I mean, we make mistakes. Don't get me wrong. We've all made mistakes. Like I said earlier, every one of us in a job that we have done, we have made a mistake and learned from that mistake. We're human. Right. That's what happens. Okay. But what people need to also understand is that we're dealing with things that you don't, right? We're dealing with.
I mean, let's say it.
Lots.
for the most part, you know,
I don't get flipped off when I'm just driving down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get people harassing me just because I exist.
Yeah.
I mean, not
because I'm wearing certain clothes.
Right. But we deal, robberies, homicides, those are things you read about in the papers, but you don't see everything because we don't, investigations don't disclose a lot of that stuff. You're not dealing with active shooters. You're not dealing with a potential bank robbery where we're getting out of the car, going into this bank area and surrounding a bank and thinking, okay, somebody could be taking us out right now. Right. So, but mostly we're human just like everybody else. And we bleed, we have feelings, we hurt, we feel what other people feel. We feel the sorrow, but we have to hold it together. I mean, we're there to do a job, And so, like I said earlier, I've sat in my patrol car many times and shed tears with something I've handled. We see domestic violence calls where, we've seen people really seriously hurt. And to see that, I mean, that can you imagine if that was a family member of yours, which we see a lot of that,
Right.
I've prayed with people. As I mentioned, I've cried with people, and it's life, and you have sympathy and you have compassion, and that's who we are. That's the majority of us are. We want to help you. That's why we got in this job. I didn't get in this job to drive fast, although, it has its adrenaline, but it has its dangers. When we have to put on those lights and how many officers have been killed because somebody didn't pay attention to the emergency lights or the siren and T-boned an officer and he died.
Right.
We're trying to save somebody's life because we're running with those lights and sirens. And so we have a lot of things that could happen to us, and so we're doing the best we can with what we have. And we have to make split-second decisions on whether we're going to use non-lethal force, lethal force, or retreat.
Right.
Because that's okay to do, right? So, are there bad cops out there? Yeah, absolutely there are. And there's cops, not be cops for sure. But that doesn't make us all bad. And I will die on that hill and protect those good officers, which there's more good than there are bad.
Of course.
But like I said earlier, about making a split decision. So I'll tell you a quick story. I don't know how much time we have, and if I get to yip yap, you tell me.
My mom says I don't have to be in bed until 10 o'clock.
Oh, good, because the street lights did go off. So,
we're home.
Yeah, we're all home. So
we'll go to bed when MASH comes on,
or the Love Boat.
Yeah.
So I can remember a story that I did a traffic stop. And as soon as I'm wrapping up the traffic stop, I see a guy driving towards me, and he doesn't have a seatbelt on. I'm like, okay, I go stop him. And, so I do the stop. And one of my things that I always said once I make the stop is, hey, you got any guns, knives, hand grenades, bazookas, flamethrowers in the car? And most people are like laughing. No, I don't got one. Or, I've had people say, I got one in the trunk, joking around. But this guy actually says, yeah, I have a gun. It's in my console. And he reaches into his console. I'm like, holy moly, my gun's in his face. Can you imagine if he would have pulled out a phone or pulled out a gun? He's in his mind, knowing what I know afterwards, he was just going to say, yeah, I got one. It's right here, telling me. But when you're reaching for it, I have no idea.
You don't know if he's coming back with it.
Hell no. Yeah. And it's on camera. So could I have legally shot him if he would have pulled out? I mean, the minute I saw something, it could have been a justified shoot.
Yeah.
He didn't have nothing. I did see on the side passenger door, there was, I think it was a box of bullets. So those are things as officers, we try to scan the car, what we see in there. But I've got this guy at gunpoint, and I got one at gunpoint, and usually if I'm calling for help and just like that, everybody's coming, we got a small agency. And so everybody shows up, and I come to find out, we pull him out, we get him handcuffed, and he has nothing in his glove compartment. He goes, oh yeah, I took it out the other day. I forgot.
Oh shit. Thanks, pal.
Yeah. I mean, great. I'm glad you remembered, but and I had to educate him.
Yeah.
Because, he had no clue what to do when pulled over by a law enforcement officer. I mean, do you guys know what to do if you're pulled over?
What was it, a CCW?
He didn't know. He had nothing.
So you can't just drive around with one of those in your car anyways.
Right. But he went to the range a couple days ago and he thought he left it in there. But he thought, yeah, I forgot I pulled it out.
Because they cover that pretty well in the CCW class.
That's true.
They cover that pretty well.
Yeah. Every 2 years I hear that.
Mm-hmm. But, the biggest thing is, I mean, and I think we talked about this earlier. before we started the show, how many people know what to do when you're stopped by a cop? Were you guys taught that?
No, I mean, not until I went to a CCW class.
Well, yeah, CCW, sure. When you have a CCW, right here,
they cover that pretty well.
Right. Do you know how many times we see people, as soon as they stop, what are they doing? They're going in, they're reaching into their glove compartment, and they're getting their piece of paper, their registration, their insurance, all this kind of stuff. I actually did a video a few years back and said what to do when you're stopped by a law enforcement officer. It's a great video, and it's very educational. And it's not for us to tell you, oh, you need to. We're not your boss. We're telling you what we're seeing, what we're feeling. Roll your windows down. When you got tinted windows, how many times I've done a stop, whether it's daylight or not, I say, driver, would you do me a favor? I don't order them. Roll down your freaking windows. Hey, can you do me a favor? Roll down your windows. I can't see in the car, right? So now I can see in the car, so I can approach and I can see. So this is it. It's nighttime. Flip your inside lights on. A lot of great tips I did in that video. Not saying it's the best video out there, but other people might have better stuff out there. But point is, it was a good video. But I come to find out, with working in law enforcement, a lot of people have no clue. They have no clue what to do. They're fiddling. They drop their phone on the floor, and now they're reaching underneath the seat, and you have no idea what they have. And have I seen guns under the seat? Right here. Yeah, exactly. Have I seen guns under the seat? Have I seen guns on the side of the console? Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's just an education thing. So I think they should do that in driver's ed myself, but yeah,
they said you don't rummage around the car. You don't go get your registration out before the cop gets there, because he doesn't know what you're going in the glove box for.
Nope.
I don't have my registration in the car anyway. I never have my insurance card. It's always in my email somewhere. Can you find it? I'm always scrolling. I'm always doing the search, and I have my license. It's good. I'm valid on everything, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Another funny one is like, you're somebody that will have it on their phone somewhere in their email. Yeah. And then I have others that have 15 packages of envelopes in their glove compartment
every month or something.
Back to 2010. Yeah. And they got to fumble through this. And I tell them, they don't know. I've had to keep them. No, throw them away. Can you throw them away for me? No, I'm not your garbage.
No, fuck you. I throw that shit away for you.
Throw it away. But I tell them, put your registration, your current registration, and your insurance in one little envelope, and that's all you need.
When I was little, there used to be a little thing on the visor. It was like springs that would spring and like held it on there. It was like a little in the head, though. All the things. So, anyways, I don't know. And we also had gun racks in our trucks too when I was a kid. So
if I have
this shit changed.
If I have my insurance on my phone, do you take my phone back to the car with you?
No.
I just show you that I have proof on me. You guys can see if I have it, right?
Yeah, I usually won't even touch somebody's phone. I might zoom in, so I can see the expiration date and make sure the car matches the insurance.
All right.
But I won't take anybody's phone.
Oh, all right.
I figured just take your phone back to the car while they're writing you the ticket and stuff. And then make a whole copy of your phone.
I've had people actually tell me, well, you can't see if I got insurance or not. I'm like, no, in California, at least where I was working at, we can't tell if you have insurance or not. That's why we have an insurance card, so show it to us. Keep it on your phone. I don't care as long as you have it.
Right. Santa Cop.
Oh,
Santa Cop. We haven't even gotten to Santa Cop yet. This was an Oakdale program, right?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yes. Well, so it was funny. It was a couple of years after I got hired. There was a new chief in town at our department, and I was at Disneyland with my wife, and it was during the holidays, and I don't know, October area, but they have all their stuff up anyway, closer to the holidays, November area. And I seen this Mickey hat, was a Santa hat, with ears and lit up. And I saw, if you remember, because we're pretty much kind of similar in age, the Christmas lights that we had growing up, they were those big old bulbs, right? Mm-hmm. And so there was a necklace with those big old bulbs on there. And I told my wife, I says, I'm going to buy this. And I said, I want to go back and I'm going to see if the chief will let me, hand out some candy canes or stuffed animals or do something for the holidays. And so I bought it. I came back, and at that time we had these vests that we had, which was our bulletproof vests, and our spare mags and radio and everything were in there, and it was pretty cool. I loved that uniform. And so I walked into briefing with the Mickey hat and the lights and had everything on, and everybody's of course laughing. And so I talked to the chief and I said, this is what I like to do. And he looked at me, we're in dispatch, and he goes, you want to do what? I said, yeah, I want to be able to, give candy canes or stuffed animals or something out on a traffic stop, or whatever the case is, to kids. And he says, don't get us in trouble. And I'm like, I'm not, trust me.
I'll be
And
fine.
yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I got this. And so basically we're not just stopping people to give out stuff, because that would not be good. You're gonna tick off the wrong person. So I go to Kmart. I buy the candy canes, and I'm doing a lot of this on my own with my own money, which I don't care. And they're not that expensive. And so on traffic stops, I would do and I just come up with the name Santa Cop. And not that that's never been used before, but that's just what I called the program. And it was a hit. And it started to go over social media. And so I started going into some of the restaurants. I mean, why not? Where people are having dinner, I would wait. I wouldn't interrupt dinner or anything. I'd walk in, and sometimes people would stop me. I mean, and other officers, because it wasn't just me. I mean, I had as I say, that my fellow partners, but some people call them my little Santa's helpers. Okay, whatever you want to call them. But we would go out and we would do Operation Santa Cop. And so it got pretty big, where the next year we did Cupid Cop. We did a lot of the major holidays. And I bought some things again, candy, a little box of hearts. You remember those from back in the day? They still have them. Yeah. And I switched necklaces. So now I got a heart necklace. And, we did, I think, Halloween. We did all sorts of different holidays. But Santa Cop was really one of the biggest. And so the following year, we actually had a local company, donate about $3,500, I think it was, to the program. And so my friend Karen, we became friends through, me working at Oakdale. And she really was an asset to the program. She would go out and go shopping with this money. She really partnered with me. She's a great lady. And a lot of people got involved. And so we would get these presents, and then we would have dispatchers and other officers, or whoever wants to help wrap them. And so we actually we had to create lists, boys age this, girls age this. And we would stuff these toys in the back of the patrol car in the trunk, and we would drive around, other officers as well. Everybody had something more or less in the back of their car. And so they would, when you did a stop, you would do Operation Santa Cop. And some people got warning tickets and some people didn't get no tickets. And I'll talk about tickets here in a minute, but it was huge. It just kind of exploded. I mean, Modesto paper went out on a ride along with me. I was like, okay, that's fine. The lieutenant was like, hey, they want to come do a ride along with you. I'm like, okay. And so it was a great experience to have them come with us and show the public that this is what we do. This is making a difference. We're bridging the gap between us and kids. You know how many lives have been impacted, not only by me, but by my department, by Oakdale PD, in the lives of children that were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, that would come up to us later on in life, and you wouldn't recognize them. And I still have people sending me pictures now. And this was you and my son, or this was this officer and my son. And his life has changed. He's not in a gang. He stopped drinking. He stopped doing this. He stopped doing drugs. And all because of a $10 gift card. Starbucks got involved. They would give gift cards, or we make a little coupon and we print it. And Starbucks, I'll say it, some people will tell you Starbucks doesn't like law enforcement. Our community, our Starbucks loved us. And so now it wasn't just for kids. Now we were giving adults, free coffees, or some of the restaurants would give, $10, $20 gift certificate to their restaurant, Forensi's, and so many others. I mean, I shouldn't have said all the names because I won't remember everybody's name who donated, but so it kept building every year. And we had, what is the hunting place in Manteca, Bass Pro. Bass Pro came and they dumped a whole bunch. They brought a truck full of toys. And so it just kept building and building.
Wow.
COVID hit. And so just word went out and social media. It was great. And so that was one of my favorite things to do was these operations. PR was one of my specialties. I really loved it because if you can impact the life and change somebody from going into drugs, going into gangs, that's a big step forward right there because unfortunately, a lot of that happens, in younger teens. So.
Is that still a program now or is it how? Where's it at? So
of course now I'm retired, but COVID happened. And then,
right.
So now it's going to be up to anybody else who wants to take it on.
Got it. So when COVID happened, just like everything else, it just got put on the shelf and.
Kind of. We still did some things. We did Operation Blue Santa. Blue Santa was where we partnered with Les Schwab. And actually our school resource officer knew families. They put a program together as well. And so we would show up in patrol cars and we'd have one of our officers wear a Blue Santa. And then so a whole bunch of us showed up and we did that for less unfortunate children in our community. That was huge. We had bikes. We had so many things for people. It was great. We've stopped at preschools. We've stopped at different, small capacity, schools where, maybe there was less unfortunate people that wouldn't be able to do a Christmas or anything, and we would do something for them as well. Lots of great pictures and memories with them. We've gone to care homes because again, this is not just for kids. It turned into this is for everybody. Kids were a focus, of course. We went into retirement homes. We sang songs. I got videos of that where we sang songs and people played pianos, and we did that with the older folks in the retirement communities. It was great. It was great.
Awesome.
Love it.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
Dang pandemic.
Right.
Yeah. Spoiler on everything.
Yeah, there's a couple pictures out there with us all in masks and, still doing it. But, we had to cut it out for a while.
So we want to bring this kind of to a close. But before we say goodbye, I want you to, give some self-promotion out there or introduce us to your other ventures. You have your hand in some other things, and you were pretty clear in the beginning. It's like, hey, some of these things could be their own episode, so it was, I appreciate it. It was wise to separate this stuff. I've enjoyed this whole time talking about police work. I'm a huge fan. You're absolutely the right person to have. You had the best stories. And you know what? The people close to me know that I just hate Stockton. I don't hate Stockton. I'm afraid of Stockton. and so I've always made jokes about that because when I was living in Manteca and getting in trouble, we had to go to Stockton for, all my judicial needs. And it was never fun. It was never, and it's been a running joke. So to have you actually hit the beat in Stockton, that's kind of neat for me. So take us out, but let us know what your other ventures are. What else is Rick Plath doing these days?
Well, okay, so I'll tell you, but I want to also add one last thing on law enforcement. So I brought up I love traffic and I love doing traffic stops because that is meeting people, that is bridging the gap. And we have choices and sometimes we give tickets, sometimes we don't. And I'll also say, clear the record, we have no quotas. Nobody has quotas. So for those
It's
people,
not even a thing?
we don't have quotas. There's no quotas.
Was that ever a thing?
No, not that I've been in law enforcement or around.
I hella believe that.
Now, so I will tell you,
I hella believe that.
I will tell you, I had my own thing that I wanted to write 5 tickets. And I know some of you might be thinking, what a douche, right? He wants to write 5 tickets. My goal was to write you a warning ticket. Because if I can give you a warning, you're going to remember that. So give you an example. So I would come back up to the car and I'm like, well, ma'am, you ran the stop sign. I've got a lot of report of, people complaining over here. So the good news and the bad news, you're getting a ticket for running the stop sign. And you could see they're upset and they were upset when they first got stopped. But I said, the good news is, and I try to make it fast because I don't want them to get too, upset.
So it's going to
be a warning today. And so it's not going to go on your driver's record. It's not going to, you don't have to pay any fines. You don't have to go any court. What? Really? You know how many times that has really changed this person's perspective on law enforcement?
Yeah.
That's all the time you guys do is just get freaking tickets. Other choice words. I've had people where they're yelling at me because I pulled them over.
Yeah.
And literally MFing me. I didn't stop. I did stop. I did, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
I don't argue with people. I'm just like, look, it's on camera, whatever. But
roadside court has never gone in my favor, man. Never gone in my favor.
But their attitude afterwards, that was huge. Because they're apologetic. They're like, my gosh, you guys are nice. Well, yeah, we're nice. We got a job to do. Whether you get a real ticket and you have to go to court and you have to pay a fine, bottom line is you broke the law. Okay.
You broke the fucking law.
I gave you some grace, And
I saw you. You.
That's how I did a lot of, have I written a lot of tickets for sure, but at the same time, that's just something I did a lot with the PR work was, having making sure that we left a good vibe with people. And even when you gave a ticket to somebody to go to court, I mean, they just totally blew that light. Nothing you can do. No, I mean, you'd almost cause an accident and you send them to court. I mean, you treat them with respect and you explain things to them. Most people are pretty, understanding. Not all.
I can say yes to that, at least for me. I got a warning ticket. I've never seen a warning ever in my life before, especially from law enforcement. I was speeding and I got a motorcycle cop. I was looking way down the road at a motorcycle cop that had somebody pulled over. I'm talking like 4 blocks down. And I'm looking, I'm watching, and all of a sudden in my mirror, blurp, one got me. I'm like, shit. So I pull over and, and I haven't had a ticket in a long time. So I'm wondering if he came up and just, I'm going to give you a warning today. And he handed me, I'm like, so what do I do with it? He's just, remember to slow down. I'm like, and there's this weird thing about when I get a ticket or, when somebody hands me something, I want to say thank you. But I've made it a point to not say thank you for that ticket. I'm not happy about it, but it's not the cop's fault either. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I've adopted a thing where I say, they'll give me the I'll sign the ticket. I roll my window down. I do the lights. I keep my hands. I do all the things. Right. I'm not difficult at all. But I won't say thank you for the ticket. I will. What I say is, be safe out there. Just be safe. Yeah, man. Be safe out there, dude. I'll take the ticket and I'll go on. And it's never gotten me out of the ticket after the fact, but I don't know.
Well, think about this, and we've all done it. I will say, even as a law enforcement officer, there's been times I've had to look at myself. Oh, yeah, I'm going, a few miles over the speed limit, right? Whether it's a freeway or not. Point is, when you look at a speedometer or not speedometer, you're looking at a street sign that says 30 miles an hour and you're doing 50. Don't get pissed off at us for you breaking that much of the law. I mean, is what it is. So we have a job to do, just like everybody else here in their job. They've got policies and procedures. Things. I've been arrested by many fine officers. I'll say thank you, Mr. Pop, for your service over the years. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's just making a difference. I mean, there's been times when I've actually given a ticket, and I tell somebody, I always try to be nice and tell somebody, hey, have a good day. We have a job to do, and most everybody said the same. Thank you. Have a good day as well. So it's just, I don't know.
I get it.
It's been great. So moving forward, different adventures that we did. So over the time, and I've said this to many friends, I've said it to many officers, many business people, many pool guys, many acquaintances that I have. Multiple streams of income is a good idea. Yeah. It's just a good idea. Now there's some things out there that are not so good, or they promise the world. Absolutely. There's tons out there. So years ago, I'll try to keep this short. I was a little bit overweight, and my wife was not very happy that she also could not lose some weight from having kids. Tried many different programs out there. When I say many, you probably name it. I probably tried it. And because we're on a public thing, I'm not going to tell you exactly which ones, but most of them. And most so, I will say keto because that's not something specifically brand name. But tried that too. love bacon, love cheese, love all that kind of stuff, but you lose a little bit of weight. But it's not, and I repeat, none of those. You're not going to eat gummy worms or gummy bears and lose weight and keep it off. You're not going to mix something in there that's going to burn your stomach fat. It does not exist. There's no magic pill. So, even from fasting to carnivore to all these other things out there, how many of those are sustainable? There's really not a lot out there that is sustainable. It's what you do in your mindset. You're not going to go eat a whole bag of Oreos when you're going to try to lose weight. But, you got to make those choices. But it's learning how to fuel your body properly. And so I decided, against my will, pretty much, because my wife came and told me about this new program and she wanted to try it. I'm like, no, we've already spent hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of dollars on different programs. I'm like, I'm out. I don't want to do it. She goes, babe, just try it with me for 1 month.
No, 1 month try. Just try it for me.
Yeah,
one cycle. Yes.
But the thing is I knew, she was beautiful then. She's beautiful now. She's beautiful ever since I've met her.
Of course.
But the point is that she didn't feel it. I could tell it till I'm blue in the face. She didn't feel it.
Sure.
And so I knew the emotion portion of that she didn't feel it. So I supported her. First week on the program, I'm like, what the no, I don't want, I can do this on my own. She looked at me, she goes, and where's that got you the last 13 years? Or in this case, 10 years. And so, okay, very true. So we did the program. I lost 23 pounds in 5 weeks. She lost 30 pounds in 10 weeks.
Nice.
And so long story short, pretty much for 5 years, we've kept it off. We've gained a little bit of weight here and there with vacations, but we know what to do. And so that's one of them. And then so as we start helping people, I wasn't going to be a coach. I was working law enforcement. I had my pool business and a couple other things in the fire, and I didn't have time. And so a friend of mine said, hey, I want what you got. Again, long story short, I'm like, hey, this is what we got to do. He goes, sign me up. I said, okay, my wife will coach you. And she said, because I wasn't the coach, he said, nope, you got to do it. I'm like, bro, no, I ain't got time for that. No, seriously. And so he said, well, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, shit.
Okay. So I coached him. He lost 50 pounds in 4.5 months.
Nice.
No longer on blood pressure meds and no more shot in his back for pain. So I was sold. I'm like, okay, besides being a cop, this is one of the best things I did. I'm helping people on now nationwide because we have clients, over the United States. And so as you learn different things, different opportunities come. And so we travel. We love to travel. My wife and I go traveling all the time. And so we decided to add being a travel agent to our repertoire or whatever you call that. And so we can get good rates. We get a lot of perks. No matter where you book something through, whether you book through Expedia or wherever you book through, there's already commission built in there. So why wouldn't I take my own commission on my own travel?
Right.
That's a brainer. So anyway, we could talk more about all that stuff at another time, but
Sure.
There's another thing I got brewing too, but healthy homes, healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, all those things are very important. So a lot of people are struggling right now. They're really struggling, financially, physically, health-wise, and there's options, and I'm not trying to tell you to come see me, but whether you go through find something that works and that has something that is sustainable in a lot of different areas of your life. So, but that we could talk about that at another, like we talked about.
We absolutely can. So
Yeah,
for the folks listening and the folks who are going to catch this before I do the edit and make it all pretty again, how can folks get a hold of you?
So my Facebook, if you want to put that link in there, you can. Okay. You're more than welcome to. They can message me on Facebook if they want. Follow me. Okay. That's cool. You'll see a lot of cool things. At least I think they're cool. Sometimes, may not. I like to share some humor on there and some real life stuff. And so, yeah, that's probably the best way.
We'll do that. And then, the edited version will hit Sunday night, live and crispy Monday morning for our Monday crew to enjoy. So, Rick, thank you for being such a sport and coming on. And you told me you were going to be shy. Stop it. Come on, stop it.
I've never done one of these interviews kind of like this. So I really didn't know what to expect. And I don't mind talking, but I'm like, I don't know.
You're a natural.
You're natural. So, and here's one thing I am absolutely guilty of. Greg and I have been doing this for 166 episodes in a row. So for 166 weeks, we have created at least an hour's worth of content to sit and talk about. So when I invite folks to the show and tell them, oh, we're just going to sit and have a conversation, we're just going to pick your brain. I'm like, we're just going to sit and I'm just going to pick your brain. Dude. We're just going to chat. Right. So, thank you for jumping in the deep end and swimming with us. So I greatly appreciate that. Your Gen X rating, you did mostly well. I think I was upset over, I would have picked Prince. I think I would have picked 1999 over Don't Stop Believing. Probably because of just the lasting power on Prince and the cheesiness associated with Don't Stop Believing. Now, I've been a mobile DJ for 19 years. That's just my experience.
Yeah. If you would have picked Michael Jackson or that, but Prince and Michael Jackson, they're always going head to head.
So
we know who the king of pop is. Okay. We just know.
We do.
And
we do.
Had you picked that, but I'm like, I'm not voting for Prince. Sorry, Pete. It was a principle for that portion. Otherwise, yes.
Principle.
Yeah. If you'd have said, Purple Rain song or some other song, Little Red Corvette or something, I might have said, okay,
Yeah. Got it. All right. Rick, thank you again, man. Appreciate you. We're going to cut this live. Stay on the line after we hang up for everybody, whatever TV show. God, what was that? Stay on the line. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, my name is Jason.
And I'm Greg.
Peace out, everybody.
All right. Thanks,
Rick.
guys.
Thank you, Richard.
Right? Seriously. Comment